So today we're on the day 4 of the 30 days of going live on YouTube. And well, today's topic is connected with what we were talking about yesterday. So, have you ever felt like you cannot afford to make a mistake? Like one wrong decision, one imperfect answer, one moment of weakness, one thing left unfinished, one would somehow prove that you are not enough, prove something about you, like you're not capable, that you're not strong enough, that you're not as good as people think, that maybe you do not belong. Today I'm talking about the perfectionism, but not as cute personality trait, not as I just like things done well. I want to talk about the kind of perfection that becomes an armor, the kind that says, if I do everything right, maybe I will not be judged. If I look strong enough, maybe nobody will question me. If I never sleep, I will finally feel safe. But the problem is, perfectionism may feel like protection for a while, but until one day it becomes a cage. Please write in the comments hashtag live if you're listening to this live, or hashtag replay if you're listening a replay and watching later. So if you remember, we were talking about ticking the boxes yesterday, and that could be a part of being perfect, or trying to reach the perfection. And today, first point I want to talk about is that perfection often starts as protection, not pride, and the perfectionism is not always about wanting to be better than others. Often it can be, or often it is, about trying not to be exposed, criticized, rejected, or seen as wrong. You know, I think we often misunderstand perfection. We talk about it like that it's like a high standard. We have like standards, and yes, it sometimes looks like that, but underneath, perfection is often much vulnerable than that. It's not always pride, it's not always ego, it's not always wanting to be better than others. Very often the perfectionism is fear of being questioned, fear of being judged, fear of being exposed, fear of someone seeing the cracks, fear that if you make one mistake, people will finally see that you are not as capable as they thought. So you learn to become the person who does not sleep, the one who performs well, the one who manages everything, the one who knows what to do, the one who rarely asks for help. And people may praise that version of you, but inside you are not peaceful. You are bracing. And I do not remember for myself to choose perfectionism. It just became something I followed. Just like those ticking boxes, just like those things that I was supposed to do, I was supposed to achieve, I was supposed to create, build, do it. It was all about do it right, and don't giving anybody the reason to question me. I was supposed to be the one who never sleeps. And it was just like building an armor, but it became my cage as well. So the second point I want to talk about here is that that need to get it right can really disconnect you from yourself. When your word depends on doing everything right, you stop listening to what is true, and you start managing how you are perceived. When you're trying to be perfect, your attention is almost outside of you. you know how am I doing? How does this look? Will they approve? Will they be disappointed? Will they question me? Will they think I'm not good enough? And the more you live out there, the harder it becomes to feel yourself. You may do everything right. The work gets done, the children are taken care of, the responsibilities are handled, the life keeps moving. But inside, there is no space to breathe, because every moment becomes something to manage your image, your tone, your performance, your productivity, your usefulness, your strength. And slowly you do not feel like a woman living her life. You feel like a woman maintaining a standard. And for me, in my adulthood, it looks like having a stable job, a steady job, 3 kids, a tightly packed schedule, and the constant belief that I had to do it all, um, and do it well, of course, and not ask much for help. And the question that was there, was, what if I stop doing everything and it all falls apart? Because it felt really overwhelming at times. And that is the fear underneath the perfection. Not just something will go wrong, but that if we loosen up, if we loosen the grip, everything we build will collapse. And put the word grip in the comments if you know how that feels like. If you know how it feels like holding everything so tightly because you're afraid it will all fall apart. And now we came to the third point I want to share, and that is that the real freedom begins when you stop obeying the perfection story. Because perfectionism is a thought pattern that feels like truth, but awareness gives you space to choose differently. And let me explain that. One of the most powerful things I learned is that the perfectionism is not who I am. It's a pattern. It's a thought trap. It's a story in my mind, repeated so many times that it started to feel like truth. And the story says, you must get this right. You must not disappoint anyone. You must not look weak. You must not make a bad decision. You must not be too much. You must not be not enough. But a thought, even a loud one, is still a thought. And once you can see it, you do not have to obey it in the same way. There is a story that I really love about it, and it's about a powerful baron. And the baron was asked, what is the secret of success? And he said, good decisions. So then he was asked, and how do you make good decisions? And he said, experiences. And then he was asked, and how you gain experiences? And he said, bad decisions. And isn't that what perfectionism tries to avoid? Bad decisions, wrong turns, messy learning, being human. But that's the whole point. You cannot learn without it. You know, perfectionism does not protect your life. It prevents you from fully living it. You have to make mistakes. You have to fail sometimes. Because the next time you're going to get it right or better because of those experiences. They are part of your life. You know, what I found out is that when I stopped trying to be perfect, nothing fell apart. The world did not collapse. In fact, it became quieter, easier, more alive. And if you had that kind of experience, please write in the comments hashtag human, um, or just write down what was your experience about it. And I have just a few more questions for you today, actually. So think about what would change if you did not have to get everything right to be worthy. What if you could make mistake and still be safe? What if you could disappoint someone and still belong to yourself? What if you could be average once in a while and nothing about your value would change? And that's a big one. And if this felt familiar, I have two gentle places where you can start. If you're tired of proving, carrying, achieving, doing everything right, and still feeling like somehow it's never enough, I have free workbook that helps you look at what may really be underneath that not enough feeling. The link is in the first comment below this video. And if you are constantly measuring yourself through other people's eyes, afraid of being judged, afraid of being seen as wrong, and exhausted of trying to protect yourself through perfection, I created a $7 course that helps you begin releasing the fear of judgment and shame in a gentle, embodied way. I'll put both links in the comments below. Okay. And if this kind of conversation supports you, subscribe, because I'm going live for 30 days. This is the fourth day. And we'll keep talking about confidence, self trust, emotional safety, overthinking, perfectionism, and how to come home to yourself. For today, remember this: perfectionism may have helped you survive, but you do not have to live in that cage forever. So, thank you for being here today, and come home to yourself.